You don't need a new story, you need a story system. Let me explain what I mean. So how many times in the last, say, 10 years have you heard somebody say, storytelling is the future of B2B marketing? Yeah, it could have been from me, right? I know. And how many times has that simple advice actually helped you write a better case study, craft a sharper pitch deck, or built a thought leadership piece that didn't immediately get watered down by 6 rounds of feedback? Yeah, exactly. Now, to be fair, I've said it and I believe it. Storytelling is powerful and B2B storytelling is really the future of B2B marketing. But I've also come to realize that it's not enough to just tell people to tell better stories. It's like telling people to be more creative or make high quality content. It sounds good, it's aspirational obviously, but in practice it still leaves us all staring at that 4-slide deck from product marketing, wondering how we're supposed to surprise and delight anybody with a bar chart, 3 feature descriptions, and a call to action. And so here we are today, and the storytelling industry, because yeah, that it really is a thing now, has cranked out frameworks and formulas like it's solving for a speed run of Mario Kart. Some of them are useful. Some of them, like mine, are even great. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. But am I? Anyway, most of them, they include a single-mind focus on what makes a story great, not on how storytelling can actually function in a business. And that's what I want to talk about, because in B2B, a good story these days isn't enough. A single narrative, a single arc, no matter how clever it is, doesn't scale. This idea hit me, oddly enough, while I was rereading Save the Cat. It's a wonderful book, screenwriting classic by Blake Snyder, and he talks about a storytelling hack called The Pope in the Pool. Basically, the deal is this. When you've got to deliver a boatload of dry exposition, you do it while something visually interesting is happening, like, in this particular case, a pope swimming laps. Comes from a movie about this very thing. And it keeps attention. It's clever, and it works. But here's the thing. B2B marketers, we do this all the time instinctively. We throw animation on compliance updates. We turn internal decks into voiceover videos, and we take a puppet or a cartoon character in front of technical language. Like, for example, you'll have enter Data Dave, the GDPR expert, right, singing his way through regulation updates, and people love that. And props, by the way, to Data Dave. I mean, marketers creating the Data Daves of the world, they're wonderfully trying to create something interesting. But that's not the real problem. The real problem isn't how the story is being told, it's that the storytelling model itself isn't part of the overarching operating model of the content. So what we get are one-offs. One good video, one compelling campaign, one Data Dave, one clever piece. But no system, no repeatability, no scalability. And that's the shift that we can really make, because the best marketing teams today, they don't just tell better stories, they run storytelling like it's an operation. Storytelling is an operational function in our business. That's the part that's most useful in the advice that storytelling makes B2B marketing better. It's not the format of the story, it's that storytelling as a function makes B2B marketing better. It's not that the team lacks talent with that, it's not that even the content is bad, it's that usually the system around it is broken. We often treat storytelling like a bolt-on, a vibe, right? You know, something like the creative team adds after the PowerPoint's already built. And then we wonder why our best ideas simply die in Slack or get overwritten by stakeholders, or they're buried in some editorial brand guideline document that no one ever reads. Here's what actually works that we see. Treating storytelling like the system it is. Think about a Hollywood film for the moment, right? There's a reason that the lighting, editing, and score, well, they all work together. The storytelling doesn't just happen before production by the writer or the director. It's embedded throughout the entire process. It's the same with B2B content. If you want content that resonates, you don't just need writers and designers. You need structure, governance, workflows that protect the story from ideation all the way through production and into even measurement. So yeah, creativity, it definitely still matters. In fact, it matters more than ever. But creativity alone doesn't scale your operations. Systems do. Now, the brands that get this right, they're not just making a viral video or award-winning deck, they're building story ops, a repeatable storytelling capability across content channels and teams. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, story ops, oh my gosh, another methodology slash framework thing here, I'm not going to pitch you on an acronym here. It's not going to be like that. Story ops is just my shorthand way to describe a mindset. It's about rethinking storytelling as a business discipline, not a content type, not a nice to have, but a system, a strategy. So how do we get there? Well, let me just give you a couple of better practices, not necessarily best practices, just better. First, structure over template. See, most B2B content is templated to death. Intro, stats, 3 bullets, CTA, basically fade to black. But stories aren't about format, they're about architecture. Architecture gives meaning, templates give shape. And they're not the same thing. Architecture and templates are not the same thing. What we need is shared alignment on a structure, across formats, on what a piece is for. Is this a make the case piece? A challenge in the status quo piece? A walk through the decision-making process piece? What is that? Name the job that the piece is starting to do as the architecture before you design the deck or the paragraphs or the structure, that how the format will be. Second, tension. If your story doesn't have something to lose, well, there's nothing to gain, and that's what tension is. B2B often scrubs it out. Again, the frameworks that we've seen, the ones that I've created, the ones you've seen from others, all of them speak to some level of importance of tension within the container of the story, but it also needs to exist as a standard way of working across the entire life cycle. I'll give you an example of this. I worked with a content team once that embedded real friction, real tension into a white paper. But by the time it passed through 17 reviewers, well, every ounce of risk had been edited out. Not because none of them thought it shouldn't have some, but no one agreed on what it should be. So easier to edit it out and delete it rather than sort it all out and work through that tension together. The end result, a very bland product pitch with no soul. Tension is a sign that something matters. Bake it in and then protect it as it moves through its life cycle. Third, treat stories like products. Most teams these days treat stories like projects, but great storytelling is a product line. You don't create one thing, ship it, and start over. You build a modular system. You reuse, you evolve. That means having clear roles, intake processes, a content or story library, not just a list of final assets, but a narrative building blocks. And yes, governance. Is it going to slow things down? Yes. Spoiler alert, it will slow down the front end of the process, but it'll make everything run stronger and faster in the long run. Because when you design for story operations, the story travels, it flexes, it shows up in your sales deck and your onboarding doc, and it doesn't lose any of its shape or soul in the process. And that leads us to the final piece, which is, of course, measurement. So in film and movie films in Hollywood, success isn't just about the box office. It's about whether the studio built a system that can make another hit. That's how we should think about our content operation. Not just did this piece perform, but did our storytelling system get better because we made it? Was it easier to build the next one? Did it spark reuse? Did it build momentum? If not, it's not a system yet. It's still just scenes in search of a strategy. So yeah, keep the Pope in the pool, keep Dated Dave, keep the drone shots, keep the clever metaphors. But if you want stories that sell and scale, you don't need a new story. You need a system that knows how to make great ones again and again and again. It's your story. Figure out what they are and then help everybody tell it well. You want a little more? I wrote a whole piece over here that might, go into a little more depth. And until I see you next week, I'll see you soon.